Good day, everyone. I am Crisaline Parmi Servidor from BSN English 2, and I am your reporter for today. So, welcome to AS 9108 Survey of Philippine Literature in English. So, my assigned topic was Recuerdo by Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo. So this is my table of contents or the contents of my report. First, we have the introduction, the author's biography, the summary, the literary elements, the moral, the lesson, and the last is the references. So without further ado, let's get started. So here is the introduction of Recuerdo, which is written by Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo. So Recuerdo is written by Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo in the year 1996. So it was published in the year 1996. So Recuerdo is a Spanish term which means in English it is a memory, souvenir or memento. So Recuerdo is it about a narrative reconstructing the history of the narrator's family, which is Cristina Hidalgo, and by grafting incrementally into each other's accountable stories, both remembered and fictionalized of woman in her life. To a certain extent, the challenge in reading a novel like this, like Ricardo, is that it lies on the disproving its adamant denial of the fact that it is related to the nation. So Ricardo depicts situations, or there are situations in the novel Ricardo that it depicts or it is related in the situation in the nation. So it represents some of the instances or situation in the novel Ricardo. It represents the happenings in the happenings in the nation. So we have the author's biography, or who is this person who wrote this novel, which is Ricardo. So the person who wrote this novel is, as what I said earlier, it is Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo. So she was born on August 21, 1944, and he was born in or her birthplace is in Manila. So her mother was one of the first Filipino woman journalist. So may pinagmanahan si Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo when it comes to writing, or with it comes to writing books, novels. So her mother was also considered as the first Filipino woman journalist. Next, we have, so Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo is married, and her husband is Antonio Hidalgo. So they have three daughters, and she is an award-winning fictionist, critic, and pioneering writer of creative nonfiction. So next, we have Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo garnering honors since her colegiate days. Dr. Hidalgo has also received such prestigious awards such as Gawad Balagtas, Graphic, Free Press, Focus Manila Critics Circle, British Council Grant to Cambridge, and the UP Prestigious Award for Outstanding Publication. So, she has been recognized as Outstanding Tomasian Writer, Hall of Famer of the International Publication Award, and Grand Prize for the Novel in the Palanca Awards. This Palanca, she also received a Palanca Awards, which is in her novel Recuerdo. So in her novel Recuerdo, it received an award, which is the Palanca Awards. So her husband is working in the UNICEF which provide her the opportunities to explore the various countries because since her husband is working in a UNICEF because of the nature of her husband, they have to migrate from one place to another, which provide her the exposure to different countries. And she also wrote stories or travel logs because of her experience or her exposure to different countries. Next is out of her experience were born seven autobiographical travel books, as I said earlier, including Sojourns, 1984, Siladon and Kemshi, A Korean Notebook, 1993, Coming Home, 1997, and Passages, Selected Travel Essays, 2008. She also have five short story collection, the most recent of which is The Sky Blue After the Rain, which is published in 2005, and the two novels Recuerdo, 1996, which win the Palanca, and The Book of Dreams in 2001. So her work is literary criticism has produced four books, includes studies of women's literature such as those published in Woman Writing, Home of Exile in the Autobiographical Narratives of Filipino Women in 1994, and A Gentle Supervision in 1998, and Over a Cup of Ginger Tea, 2006. So, Christina Pantuhan now is currently the Professor Emeritus of English and Comparative Literature at the University of the Philippines. So she is staying now at in Manila with the job of being a professor in the University of the Philippines, as well as the director of the University of Santo Tomas, which is also known as UST Center for Creative Writing and Literary Studies. So much for the autobiography of the author, which is Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo. Now let's talk about the novel, the summary of the novel, Ricardo. So, Ricardo is an epistolary novel which consists of message through email. So when you say epistolary novel, it is a novel that is written in a series of documents. So the message are written by Amanda, a middle-aged widow, to her daughter Marisa, a university student. Amanda lives in Bangkok while Marisa is situated in Manila. So through these emails, Amanda sorts out her life and help Marisa understand their family past. Amanda often tells her own mother Isabel stories in many of these letters. So Ricardo opens up with an email of Amanda, the major persona of to her daughter Marisa, a college student at the University of the Philippines. So after living in different countries, Amanda decided to take her children home to the Philippines. Shortly after sitting down in the Philippines, however, she takes on a job as a consultant for a short-term project in Thailand. So, thus, it begins the entire narration, which is basically composed of Amanda's emails to her daughter. These are letters assuring that the letter of the merits of her decision to take her family back to the Philippines. So the email form also takes a new function on Recuerdo as a form of catharsis, or should I say, as a killer coach of Amanda, who is apparently processing her emotions and thoughts. For a woman within whom lurks a yearning for history, no matter how provisional of her family. The epilogue of novel is Amanda letters to to the historian Rafael M. Ortega of the UP of the Department of History, explaining her manuscript that the entire epistolary novel in email form is not a memory but a fiction. So he clarifies to Rafael M. Ortega that her novel is not a memory, or it's not her memory, but some of the details of her novel is fictionalized or through her imagination. So the story was this way of storytelling resulted to a dynasty on cyberspace against a backdrop that juxtaposes two entirely different cultures. The first culture, or the first family, is being superstitious, while the other is sophisticated. So when we say superstitious family, these are families, or superstitious families. These are families that mostly believes on superstitions beliefs. When we say superstitions beliefs, these are the beliefs that don't have a scientific evidence, but they are only believe it because that beliefs are passed from their ancestors to them. So kung sa ingon pa nila, this is mga tinuuhan or mga tiniguang na paniniwala. So when say sophisticated, these are makamodern na siya na paniniwala, which is which is they believe that everything should have a dili na sila they not believe, or they don't believe on superstitious belief. They believe if something has a scientific evidence. So the story aims in this while in this is to provide readers a history which to possibly relate, as it discusses the complexity of life in a world where families share so much heritage and stories often unknown and untold. So Hidalgo espouses a particular pragmatic stance on his particular novel. It is rooted in realism, nor does it have any attempt on realism. It is a romantic novel. Fellow writer Ophila de Malanta supports Hidalgo as she says in her review of Recuerdo that readers might have the tendency of commenting on the contravening of some degree of verisimilitude in the narrating of the stories rendered through letters which come regularly with such controvert continuity and incessantness. Clearly, Di Malanta's response is a sort of reinforcing Hidalgo's claim of Ricardo as or being a romantic novel. So he support author of Hila de Malanta support Ricardo's Cristina Pantoa claim that her novel is a romantic novel. So what is the contribution of the Hidalgo's essays to Philippine literature? So Hidalgo's critical essays, which reflects her interest in fictional writing by Filipino women, serve as much needed contribution to the developing today body of feminist scholarship in the country today. So Christina's critical essay paved the way, or it has the big impact to the woman who are writing in the Philippines today, because it served as an instrument for the woman to be empowered in writing essays, novels in the Philippines. So we are now in the literary elements of the story, or of the novel rather. So the character is Amanda, which is the mother of Marisa, and then Isabel, which is the mother of Amanda. So we have the genre. The genre is epistolary novel. When we say epistolary novel, it is a novel or a series of that is written in a series of documents. Next, we have literary fiction as it is a fiction because it is written through the imagination of Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo. Next, we have the setting of the novel, which took place in Thailand, since Amanda is situated in Thailand, and the letter that she sent is to her daughter, which is living or studying in Manila. So the theme of the novel is love and life. Why? Because it talk about the love, the motherly love, the love of her mother to her daughter, as well as life, the connection between literature and life. Next, let's now move on to the moral of the story. So first, we should be proud of our origin or our roots, no? As a Filipino, we should be stand proud of our origin because um never because as a Filipino, we should be proud of who we are and what we are because it is our trademark, and we should not forget where we came from. Um, Never forget where you came from. Remember your roots or our origin. There are they are or our origin or our roots are foundation of our life and wings to our future. No matter where life takes you, you should be or you should not forget where you came from. Next moral is that do not forget your parents. Oh, we should as daughters or as children, we should love our parents and treat them with love and care. For you will only know that their value, or for you will only know that the value when you say there with an empty or we and when they are already gone. So be sure to spend time with your parents and who love you, and because when one day when you look up in your busy life and they are not there anymore to support you. So again, do not forget your parents. No matter how successful you are, how busy you are, you should not forget your parents. Last is the lesson of the novel. So in life, we should not take for granted our history and culture. So as a Filipino, no, we should not take for granted or isa walang bahala na lang ang ating kultura at ang ating history, because it is our trademark kasi. It is our trademark as a Filipino that we have this um culture and history that this should be preserved from generation to generations. It is our responsibility to pass it from the next generation. So we should not take it for granted. Rather, we should love it, treasure it, and pass it to the other or to the next generation. Because understanding your heritage, your roots, and your culture or your ancestry is it is an important part of crafting your future. Next lesson is that all mothers are heroes, so we should love and respect them. So as they said, mothers hold our hands for a while, but our hearts forever. So there's nothing like mother's love. So as they said, mother's love are the greatest love. So all mothers are hero rather, because of the sacrifices they made. They are powerful. They are extraordinary woman, because being a mother is not an easy job. So we should love our mother and respect them. Mother love is powerful and irreplaceable. A mother love will never end. It is from the beginning to end. So it is an unconditional form of love. So this is my references. If you want to know more about this novel Recuerdo, please you can click these references below. Thank you so much for listening and have a good day everyone.